I've just bought a 70mm Pro dash cam, and although there's a lot of good things to be said about this model, what struck me when it arrived was the complete lack of information. I had a lot of questions in my mind about how it worked, and I was hoping they'd send me a manual to answer all my questions, but all I got was this, and it's just next to useless. I searched on Google to try and get more information, but the same sort of thing happened. Every page I got didn't really answer my questions. When I downloaded the app on my smartphone and registered, they then sent me an email which gave a link to a much better user manual. But for some reason that user manual never appeared in any of my Google searches. I'm not sure why. So I managed to get some answers from there, and I've also looked at some other web pages to get some other answers. So this video isn't too much about specs or image quality, because there's already quite a lot of that on the internet already. This is really about the information that I couldn't find initially. I bought this particular model because it seems to offer excellent value for money. Where I live in Thailand, there are thousands of cheap dash cams at local markets, but I have no confidence in the image quality or reliability. I started looking at Garmin models, but they're quite expensive. When I came across 70mm, the reviews I saw indicated that the image quality and reliability were very good, and they're quite a lot cheaper than the Garmin ones. The 70mm Pro looks a lot better than the 70mm non-Pro. For a start, it has a screen, it has a higher resolution camera, and it has extra features. So it seems to offer everything I want at a very reasonable price. Regarding installation, there is no suction cup. This is the suction cup from my GPS device. What they give you is one of these electrostatic stickers, and you stick this to your windshield, and it stays there electrostatically rather than using glue. I guess the idea is that if you have a tint on your windscreen, then it won't damage the tint. Then once that's in place on your windscreen, you then stick the dash cam onto the electrostatic sticker. So there's a small mounting plate here with an adhesive backing to stick on the electrostatic sticker. I actually ordered the GPS unit, so instead of that mounting plate, I just put my GPS unit on, and the GPS unit has got an adhesive sticker. The lead, the power cable, is over 3 meters long, which is really nice. So you can find a power socket, and you've got plenty of length to tuck it out the way where it's not seen. They also give you an adapter for a cigarette lighter. This has two sockets, a red one and a black one. Now, nowhere did I find instructions to tell me which one to use, but I found on a website somewhere that you're supposed to use the red one. Now, apparently if you use the black one, or if you use another adapter, one that they haven't given you, it may cause problems, so just use the one that they give you. The GPS unit was quite cheap, but I was a little disappointed. When I ordered it, I imagined that on the screen it would give you your longitude and latitude coordinates, and that you would also see them on playback, so that for any particular piece of video you knew exactly where it was taken. But you don't. All the GPS module does is enable the advanced driver assist system, and you get things like front vehicle collision warnings and lane departure warnings. So with hindsight, I probably wouldn't have bought the GPS unit if I'd realised exactly what it did and what it didn't do. I ordered my dashcam with a 32 gig SD card, and the SD cards need to be class 10 or above. The official specs say it will work with cards from 16 to 64 gig, but I did see a YouTube video where the poster said it will work with cards up to 128 gig. Apparently it won't work with cards of 8 gig or less. When the dashcam's recording, it will record individual videos of around 1 minute. It has a built-in collision sensor, and if you're involved in a collision or if you press the emergency video button, you'll get an extra 30 seconds of video. So the maximum length of any individual video is up to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Before I got the dash cam, I was wondering how you would protect an emergency video, and apparently you can't. When the SD card is full, it will just loop and overwrite all the previous videos. So I guess what I'll do is that I'll carry extra SD cards, and if anything serious happens, I'll just remove the SD card and put in another one to make sure that the important footage isn't written over. The dash cam doesn't normally record sound. That's probably quite a good thing to me, because you don't want to hear what I'm saying when I'm driving in Thailand, because the driving standards are so bad. But sound can be switched on. When I was reading various reviews about this dash cam, I read about a time-lapse facility, but I've seen nothing about that in the user manual. So that's something I'll have to experiment with a little. The dash cam also has a parking surveillance feature, but I'm not sure how useful that's actually going to be. If your cigarette lighter loses power when the ignition's off, then it will run on the internal battery, and that's not going to last very long. You can buy a separate cable to power the dash cam in parking surveillance mode, and that wires straight into the fuse box, but I think you can only buy that in China. And if you do use that, there's a chance that if you leave the car parked for a long time, it could run down your battery. So this is a feature that I don't think I'm going to be using. The dash cam also has voice control, but I haven't actually used it yet, so I'm not sure how effective this is. So you can say things like take picture, record video, turn off screen, turn on screen, and it should do things without needing to press any buttons. The dash cam also has a Wi-Fi hotspot feature, and through this you can connect it to your mobile phone using the 70My app. I've done this and it looks like quite a decent app. You get a real-time image preview, you can download photos and video, and you can also check and update firmware. It looks fine, but in a few reviews I did read that the download speed is quite slow. That's just a quick overview of my first impressions. I won't go through all the specifications because they're quite easy to find online, but the image quality I've seen looks very good. It's a Sony IMX335 sensor. The maximum aperture is f1.8, which is pretty fast. It's 140-degree wide angle, and the resolution goes up to 2592 times 1944 at 30 frames per second. I haven't actually installed it yet. My car is having some work done at the moment, so once I get my car back and I've installed it, then what I'll probably do next is release another video showing some actual footage from the camera.